Have a look at this gorgeous rump steak. It's definitely the beef lover's choice, and I personally love rump steak because it's super juicy and versatile. You can see it's quite thick, so that's 300 grams. I'm serving my steak with a gorgeous Parmesan and anchovy dressing along with a little salad. So for the rump steak, bring it out of the fridge at least 1 hour before cooking it so it cooks nice and evenly. I've also got my oven heated up so it's nice and hot, 200 degrees. I'll start it in the pan and then we'll take it to the oven. So a little oil, drizzle of olive oil, and leave that fat cap on the rump steak because that's going to ensure it stays nice and juicy. If you want to take it off afterwards, by all means you can. So a thin film of oil along with a good pinch of salt, and I'm quite generous with the salt because it is a 300 gram piece of rump steak after all. It's also going to give us a really lovely crust. Now, usually you would cook your steak on the bottom and the top and that's it, but because I've got that lovely bit of fat, I'm going to turn the heat on, just a medium heat, and then we're going to start on the fat side. So what's going to happen here is a lot of that fat is going to render, giving us that crispy skin. So we'll start it like that, then turn it over and cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side and finish it off in the oven. Now, while that steak is cooking, let's get onto this delicious creamy dressing. So into a blender, I'll add some garlic. This is very similar to a Caesar style dressing, but with a bit of a modern take to it. So in with our garlic, beef and garlic, best mate. So a good hit of garlic for this. To that, I'll add some anchovies. And I know some of you out there might go, what is she doing? But anchovies are going to give this the most divine savoury flavour. 2 anchovies and a little of the oil. And use your best quality anchovies. The better quality they are, the less intense they are. And some Dijon mustard, we'll add that. 2 egg yolks. So it's kind of like a mayonnaise that we're making here. It's going to be an emulsion. And some Parmesan, good quality Parmesan. What I like to do is just cut them into little pieces. So we'll add about a large handful of Parmesan and cut that into cubes. The rest of that Parmesan we'll use as a garnish later on. Into our food processor. And before I add any more ingredients, I'll pop the lid on and I'm going to blend this until we've got a smooth paste. All right, a few more ingredients to this. Some Worcestershire sauce, again for that lovely savoury flavour, and some vinegar to balance it out, just classic white vinegar. And I'll pop the lid back on and just little by little, I'm going to stream in some oil. Now I want quite a neutral oil for this. We don't want to taste the oil, we want to taste all of the other ingredients. So grapeseed oil, and just like a mayonnaise, you want to little by little add the oil until you've got a thick sauce. This juicy piece of rump steak. I have allowed it to rest on the board. You don't want to cut into it straight away. What happens when you cut straight into a steak after it comes out of the oven or the pan is it hasn't relaxed. So if you cut straight into it, it'll dry out. If you let it relax, all the juices will go straight back into the meat, leaving you with the most tender piece of meat. So with a sharp knife, I'm going to cut this really thin because I want to serve this with the salad over the top of it. So I want it to be quite a delicate dish, and you can see how gorgeous that steak is. It's juicy, it's pink in the centre. It's pink from the top all the way to the bottom, and that's because we've brought it to room temperature and we've allowed it to rest. And see how there's no juices on the board? That's because it's rested. Okay, so super thin slices. This can be served as an entree or a shared plate or a main, really, just with a piece of crusty bread. It's fantastic. It really showcases how beautiful Aussie beef can be. All right, that last little bit there, I call a chef's treat. So with these other thin slices, we'll grab a plate and we're just going to cover the whole base of the plate with the steak. Okay, a few more little pieces. And now we can build all the flavors on top of this recipe. So each mouthful, you taste everything, like the artichoke. So we're going to cut these artichokes in half. Artichokes and steak, best mates too. So I like to sort of dot them around this dish. Next, a few rocket leaves over the top. We don't want to cover the steak completely. We really want to show that off. Some gorgeous French shallots that I've finely sliced. Again, sprinkling that over the top. And what I've got here are some capers. I love capers. If you like, just use baby capers too. We want that salty component. So a little sprinkle of them over the top. And our beautiful dressing, a drizzle of that sauce, a little more. And just because I've got a little bit of that Parmesan, we'll just do some flaking of the Parmesan over the top. Not too much. Okay, some freshly cracked pepper. And there you have it, an elegant way to serve up your next rump steak. That's a thing of beauty right there. And what I love most about this dish is all of those flavours together. So better have a taste. Let's get into this little piece here. Perfectly cooked. That sauce, the artichokes. That is a flavour bomb right there. That Parmesan dressing, perfectly cooked beef, artichokes, that hint of pepperiness from the rocket, delicious. That's my kind of food right there.